What is up, Pauper players? Welcome back to another Salt and Pauper video, and today we are testing a whole bunch of the new cards from Edge of Eternities. First off, I mean, you can see all the test cards we've got right over here, all the test lists we've got set up and ready to play. I've got several in the pipeline coming for you guys, but on my poll on the channel post, Mono Black Sacrifice won the vote. So I'm going to give you guys that first. If you want to vote on what videos I put out next, make sure you are checking those community tab posts. I often ask for your guys' opinions on videos and things like that, so make sure you're checking those out. If you are subscribed to the channel, if you're not, take a second, go ahead and click the button. It really does help. It makes a huge difference for small and growing channels. So really hope you guys appreciate the content, and let's dive in. So first off, we have a couple new cards in the deck. First off is Temporal Intervention. This has Void, so it costs less if a non-land permanent has left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped, both of which are possible in this deck quite easily. It costs 1. It's essentially a Thoughtseize. You can grab a non-land card from somebody's hand if you have Voided. The other brand new card is Perigee Beckoner. This is a 5-drop. You're probably wondering what it's doing in a black aggro deck. Well, it's got the other new keyword that is going to be Pauper relevant, which is Warp. And you may cast this card from your hand for its Warp cost, then you exile it at the beginning of your next end step. Now, it is important to notice that if you sacrifice this card, it does not get exiled, so you cannot then recast it. But when it enters, it gives target creature you control, another target creature you control +2/+0, and then when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped. So it's like an undying effect, essentially, and it gives +2/+0. So it works pretty well with Nested Shambler, which is going to give you a bunch of extra squirrels. But in general, this card enables a combo, which is really cool. If you get 2 of them out, they can target each other. You can just loop them, endlessly sacrificing to Carrion Feeder or your Bloodthrone Vampire, and you essentially win the game. You have a couple of rights of consumption in this list. This is preliminary. This is really early days testing. Nothing is settled on this list yet, and this is really just as a way to win when you do the combo, but generally speaking, I think making an infinite, at least once, maybe more, is probably going to be good enough to end the game without this. That being said, it is just a reasonable win con when you can all in on like a Bloodthrone or something, and then just sack with Right of Consumption to dome your opponent like a fling. There's not really much else to talk about. This is a pretty stock Mono Black Sacrifice list. We're running the Zuni Link Breaker, Infestation Sage, Mortician Beetle, Carrion Feeder, and Bloodthrone Vampire. We have 1 Village Rites, 1 Supernatural Stamina, and then Nested Shamblers and 2 Corrupted Conviction to go along with our Village Rites here. So, yeah, we're running 6 of the Sacrifice draw effects. We're running 2 flings, essentially, 4 of the combo warp creatures, 4 temporal interventions, 2 voracious vermin. This is just another Mortician Beetle, but it comes with a body of its own. Not a huge fan of this. Maybe better to run Gixian Infiltrator. Not sure yet. Maybe not even be needed at all. Hard to say. But yeah, this is where I'm going to start out. These were just some early access test games with a friend of mine, so I'm going to go ahead and walk you guys through how the games went. I apologize, the replay is a little bit jank. MTGO still has not enabled the replay function yet, so these deck reviews are a little bit more difficult. But I was able to get a couple of matches filmed for you guys, so I'm going to run you through some of the more exciting games. Let's go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we get to start off here. This is a perfectly reasonable keep, but we don't have a sacrifice outlet, and we don't have any draw, so I think we're going to throw this one back, try something better. It's just not 100% where we want to be for this. This seems far more reasonable. We even have an early Thoughtseize. We're going to throw away the Voracious Vermin. That definitely seems like it's not the best card in our hand. Unfortunately, it feels like we either have to throw back the Thoughtseize or a Carrion Feeder here. Probably going to go with the Voracious Vermin, though. Yeah, this is a fine 6. We could throw away the Temporal Intervention here and go with a more aggressive start, but I think throwing the 3-drop makes sense. It's a little bit of a toss-up, but we're going to throw away the Vermin. Alrighty, off to the races we go. We're going to go ahead and lead on a carrion feeder here, just past the turn, nice and simple, nothing crazy. Now, for these test games, my opponent was playing a mix of what I call Gatekeeper decks for the Pauper format. This one looks like either Jund Wildfires or Rakdos Madness. And so for the purposes of these tests, we were running against kind of the Gatekeepers just to test viability overall in the format, and we wanted to see what the opponent was on here. Considering sacrificing to Carrion Feeder, we are in fact going to do that, and then go ahead and Thoughtseize the opponent. We do see that they've got a ton of burn in hand, but not a ton else. We're going to go ahead and rip this Grab the Prize out of their hand, though, just to make sure that they don't have refill. They do go ahead and bolt the Carrion Feeder, which is a little bit unfortunate. We draw a Voracious Vermin, though, which is double bodies. That's going to give us access to this Village Rites, which we appreciate. And we know that they have a Alms of the Veins in their hand, but they have to decide here if they want to go towards our face or if they want to keep burning out our creatures. We know they have a Fiery Temper, so they can cast that. They ended up drawing a Highway Robbery, which is pretty rough for us. They're going to discard the Alms of the Veins, though, and not hit this Voracious Vermin, which feels like a mistake to me. I feel like Fiery Cannonading the Voracious Vermin here really shuts me down with only one card in hand. We're going to go ahead and get in there. Nothing exciting here. Just seems like a nice, easy play. Going to go ahead and Village Rites for more creatures. We do top deck a Mortician Beetle, which is pretty nice. We just need to draw another Sacrifice outlet. We're going to go with the Nested Shambler just in case they want to blow up the creature. It's fairly adjacent to the Nezumi Linkbreaker here, but rare chance we draw a Pump or something like that, then maybe correct for the Nested Shambler to be out instead of the Link Breaker. Temporal Intervention, very, very strong card, by the way. I've been brewing non-stop around Temporal Intervention. I think that card is very, very good. The non-land sacrifice, or non-land leaving the battlefield, is a fairly easy thing to achieve when it doesn't say non-token. So things like treasure tokens, clue tokens, blood tokens, all of these work. And obviously in a sacrifice-based deck, you're going to have lots of ways to get rid of stuff. There is that Fiery Cannonade we expected to see. We top deck a Corrupted Conviction, which is pretty good here. We're going to go ahead and cash in the Link Breaker immediately, just to pump the Mortician Beetle pre-combat. We hit a land, another Nested Shambler. We are kind of out of gas here. The opponent is down to 3 cards. Hopefully they haven't drawn more. They do hit another Alms of the Vein, which slows us down, but as long as they're not hitting like Faithless Lootings or anything like that, we should be fine. We hit another land, which is unfortunate. We are going to be able to Dome for 5 here, though, and we are winning the race, albeit just. And the opponent really is in a position where if they're not drawing draw spells, they have to decide if they want to point their damage at my face or at my creatures and try to win the race going long. Really in a tough place here. We are able to get in there for some damage. I did miss a damage here. Should have tapped the Mercenary token pre-combat. That way I could have hit for an extra damage, then sacrificed to the Bloodthrone Vampire post-combat. Just a small miss trigger here. It is only 1 damage lost, though, so it's unlikely to matter in this matchup. Typically against Rakdos, you either win by a little or a lot. Opponent draws, does not have a removal spell for the Bloodthrone Vampire, and goes ahead and passes. These are sideboardless games, so we're going to go ahead and run it right back into game number 2. And this looks like a reasonable keep. We don't have a ton to do early, unfortunately, and we don't really want him to... we don't really want him to burn the Mortician Beetle. Discarding a Sneaky Snacker is pretty rough there. We top deck a Peregrine Beckoner. We do have the Bloodthrone Vampire and the Rite of Consumption in hand. So we are 1 card off the combo, but the thing is that the combo really is mana intensive. You have to hit a lot of land drops in a deck that's only 16 land, which is fairly hard to ask for. So I'm not sure how viable it's going to be, but it is, I think, a nice fallback plan for the deck. Opponent just getting in there. We have the option of Supernatural Staminaing and trying to eat this Voldaren Epicure, but I think the Supernatural Stamina is almost certainly going to be better just as a Save My Dude spell. And we are in a place where we could try to... Yep, there's the bolt. It's a little unfortunate. Should have probably just saved this to play defensively, but I felt like I was on a timer here. And without a ton of 1-drops, my hand is kind of bogged down with all these 2-drops. Really kind of feeling the pressure here. I feel like I'm behind, so I was looking to make something happen. At the end of the day, I was really just going to draw 2 cards and then keep my Mortician Beetle, but I do think I rushed that there. Probably should have played it a little bit slower. Just played a Bloodthrone Vampire and, like, attacked for 1 and, you know, tried to threaten, like, a really big Bloodthrone Rite of Consumption. That's probably the way that I would have stabilized this game, if I'm honest. But now we're in a really bad position. Opponent at 22, we have no creatures on board. We have all 2+ drops in hand. Opponent is really putting on the pressure here, going very wide with the Kitchen Imp on top of bringing back both Snackers and an Epicure, so we really don't have a ton of time here. Opponent attacking for 8 next turn. We're almost certainly dead. It is funny that we are, you know, maybe 1 turn behind comboing off for the kill, though, so that is really interesting. Definitely should just play double Bloodthrone here. I was looking at a bunch of lines with Rite of Consumption, trying to find a way to, like, warp and then Rite of Consumption and, you know, do some sort of stabilizing that way because I gain some life. But just don't think that I'm going to win from that position. I'll gain a little bit of life. You know, I won't die the next turn, but I don't think I'm winning the turn after that either. And he's just going to have a bigger board, if not the same board. And I haven't really answered much. Double Bloodthrone Vampire does set up the option of being able to double Beckoner should we draw it next turn and try to win the game that way. He may leave more blockers up than I have the ability to attack through, and then Rite of Consumption would be required for the win, but just trying to play towards my outs here. I think I'm fairly far behind, and I'm reasonably sure I'm dead. I was at 3 from that attack, and now he's attacking for 10. I can block, though, so I'm not dead, but if he has any burn spell from the hand here, I'm dead. Blood token doesn't show me a burn spell, so in theory I am alive. I'm going to go ahead and block here, sacrifice a Bloodthrone to keep the Bloodthrone. I'll take 8, go to 1. And unfortunately, we did not draw the second Beckoner. It would have been lethal, though, which is super funny. But unfortunately, we just don't get there. So off to game number 3 now. All right, game number 3 here. Unfortunately, that hand just really wasn't doing much. This does feel like a much better hand, though. Getting a Mortician Beetle online early feels like the way to win the game. We just need to get Mortician Beetle above Lightning Bolt range, and we're probably in the money. We're going to throw Beckoner back. He just feels like the card that does the least here. Really, really like the Thoughtseize element. Unfortunately, we're mulling to 5, though, so I think it may just be throw the Thoughtseize back, hope the Village Rites bails us out. And we're going to lead on an early Mortician Beetle with the idea of just running Infestation Sage, Village Rites out next turn, attacking for 2. Opponent just playing the tap land is great for us there, so that is indeed what I'm going to go for. We're just going to put maximum pressure on here and hope that we're able to kind of draw more action. It is worth noting that typically Mono Black Sack runs 8 full sacrifice to draw 2 effects, and this deck has cut 2 of those for those 2 Rite of Consumptions for the combo finish. I think it is definitively worse and lacking those extra 2 draw spells. I'm not even sure the Voracious Vermin is where I want to be. It may just be better to run Gixian, so unsure. There's definitely some tuning to do with the deck. We are just going to run out the Voracious Vermin here. We're really trying to suit up like a good board for this Bloodthrone Vampire to boost both of my creatures above Lightning Bolt range. That's kind of the idea that I have here. And just maximize our mana efficiency. We're very low on cards, so we really want to try to maximize pressure. And we are presenting a pretty reasonable board. The opponent's got to do something about this. And let's see. I mean, they're leading on a Faithless, which is probably bad for us. But if it's just like double Snacker, you know, or Snacker Alms, something like that, we're probably okay. Cannonade into Kitchen Imp is pretty bad for us. Unfortunately, we really don't like to see that. It kills the Mortician Beetle and the Voracious Vermin grows, which isn't the worst case scenario. We top deck Carrion Feeder, which actually is pretty solid here. We're able to get in for a reasonable amount of damage. We were always going to eat the rat token, so it's probably fine. Although, yeah, we're just going to sacrifice the Blood Throne to pump the Carrion Feeder permanently, and that way the rat will eat the Kitchen Imp and survive. Could have definitely just traded off the Insect token there and kept both my sacrifice outlets, but I think that having both of the sacrifice effects is actually, not necessary at this point. I think just having one good sacrifice outlet is probably plenty. And the Carrion Feeder grows permanently, which is why I was keeping it. We do still have, we are mana short off of the double Beckoner combo here, which would make 2 of our creatures infinite. Pretty good. But looking like we're in a pretty good spot here. Opponent at 14. Full grip of cards, though, which is definitely concerning. Really feeling that mulligan to 5 here. All right, opponent elects to play a land and then flashback Faithless Looting. Probably great for me, I'm not going to lie. This definitely seems fine. Worst case scenario, he goes for like fiery temper on my Carrion Feeder and like forces me to eat the other 2 creatures. But I don't think that's terrible for me either. He elects to just cast another Kitchen Imp. He is on defense here, which I love. We're going to go ahead and warp in the Beckoner, pump the Insect token. We're just going to pump the Carrion Feeder. Unfortunately, I think this is misdamage because he's always going to block the Carrion Feeder here, or maybe always going to block the Voracious Vermin. Should have definitely given the +2/+0 to a token here because it was just going to get in for free. We go ahead and eat the Beckoner there so we can pre-combat Thoughtseize. Another Kitchen Imp, Lightning Bolt, Alms of the Vein, and Chain. We're going to just pull the Lightning Bolt. Like I said, this is a wasted 2 damage here. Should have definitely got in for 2 more. Would have put the opponent at 5 and much more in range of lethal through several creatures. Not the worst case scenario. I think if I'm winning the game, it's not going to be short of 2 life, but never know. He does have Alms, so he is not dead on board. Or rather, Alms is not good enough. He is still dead on board. Because I'm swinging for 10, so Alms is not good enough here. You go ahead and Faithless Lootings. That's going to bring back 1 Snacker. We're still waiting for him to not be dead. He needs like double Alms, or he needs Alms plus something. Alms Kitchen Imp with a sneaky Snacker coming back. So he isn't dead, which is good. But we are still at 20 here. We're going to 17 after the Alms of the Vein. So we're in a pretty solid place here. Not the worst spot to be in. The sneaky Snacker coming back is going to be annoying because he'll get a free chump block on the Voracious Vermin again. He's going to go ahead and Chain Lightning. It is unfortunate he top-decked another Lightning Bolt. That's brutal. We'd have to sacrifice all of our dudes to save the Voracious Vermin, including the Carrion Feeder to itself. So I'm just going to eat it with the Carrion Feeder, pump the Carrion Feeder. Super unfortunate to lose our second bomb there. Really needed that to keep the pressure running. We are able to put him at 4 here, but he's going to have time. He's going to be able to block with the Sneaky Snacker on this 5/5, so we don't really have a meaningful clock. Goes to 6 off of Vampire's Kiss. Still an unfortunate non-lethal because now he can just block the rat token and he's not lethal again. But Rite of Consumption is a threat here, so I don't know that the opponent has seen it yet. It's not a card that I have casted, so would be cool to top deck that and kind of surprise him. He is at 6, could just eat the rat token, dome him for 6, win the game. Unfortunately, we just hit another land there, and I think that's going to be 1 land too many. We are just incidentally down to 10 here now. Opponent just keeps hitting burn spells and gas off of these lootings and draw spells, and the card advantage is going to be maybe a little bit too much. He has another Vampire's Kiss here. We really need to draw some of our draw spells. We've seen that one village rights and nothing else. Like I said, I think the deck is hurting for those 2 extra draw spells that really would be necessary. We just get to get in with the Carrion Feeder again, force the chump block, deal a blick of damage, put him to 6. Opponent is out of cards, though. So while I'm at 6, the opponent is at 6. Opponent is out of cards. He does have triple blood token, so he's unlikely to whiff off the top, but I guess it's possible. We do now have a Carrion Feeder at 5/5, though, so it is a lethal threat every turn. He's got to have a blocker staying back for that, because it is effectively attacking for 8, so he needs some sort of Alms of the Veins, something like that, in order to not die to the Carrion Feeder. Getting double Sneaky Snacker back, very concerning here, like I said, because now if he does have a life gain source, he can just not block with the Kitchen Imp, and then I'm dead on the crackback. So hitting a 3rd land there might be the death sentence. We can force the block. We're not technically dead, but opponent with 1 card in hand, I am likely dead. And opponent just chump blocks the Carrion Feeder and hits the Grab the Prize, which is indeed lethal. Now, I do scoop a little bit too quickly. Should have seen what they were going to discard. They may have been forced to discard a land, and it wouldn't have been lethal, but with a blood token, even if they're drawing 2 cards, they have 3 mana up, the chances of me being dead are pretty high. All right, so overall, the deck seems pretty good. Some very, very fast starts. I think that overall we are hurting for some more draw spells. These Rite of Consumptions really didn't do anything. And the Voracious Vermins also didn't feel like they were doing much. Maybe better to run Gixie and Infiltrator in this spot. Still undecided on that. Definitely trying out these Rite of Consumptions for 2 extra Corrupted Convictions. We need way more draw support from the deck. And other than that, I do think that the deck is fine. I think maybe we can cut back to 16 lands, but that does feel pretty dicey. The mulligans in this deck are very punishing without those draws to really recoup the losses. But otherwise, the deck did play pretty well. Paragy Beckoner felt okay. We played several matches of this deck, and I was only able to combo off with it 1 time. Did win the game, but it seems fairly ambitious to call it a combo deck. This is definitely still Mono Black Sacrifice. It just now has the option of comboing. But Temporal Intervention, absolute all-star here. Very, very, very good. And felt like a lot of the games were closer than they should have been because Temporal Intervention is so good. That game 1 ripping Grab the Prize out of the opponent's hand really, really put them on the back foot. You know, things like that are going to be super positive for this card. Now, obviously, Duress would have done exactly the same thing in this setup. But the ability to rip a creature, very, very strong. I'm also testing Divest in this spot because it can rip artifact lands from your opponent, which is super good right now. But yeah, overall, really, really like the deck. I think these new cards are a great addition to Mono Black Sacrifice. I hope you enjoyed the match. And keep tuned in because I am going to be releasing more of these test games. I have Mardu, I have Esper, and I have Mono White all filmed and ready to go. So I'm going to be dropping those on the channel as well very soon. So thank you as usual for watching along. Share this with another Pauper player if you enjoyed it, and goodbye for everyone unless I see you next time.